All right, welcome to Project 8. This is the second to the last main project. The last one is a note card holder and then 4 note cards to go in it. So this is the last of the other projects other than that note card set. This I was told was called the Impossible Gift Box. And you can see the things that you need for this. This is probably my most favorite little treat box type holder that I've made. I've been making this for a while now, and it's just always my go-to if I want something that's kind of cool and unusual. Hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. So gather your supplies, and you may want to print this out and take notes or whatever, but I hope that you're able to get it to work for you and that you'll like it just as much as I do. All right, let's get started on this project. Okay. All right, so let's get our supplies. I'm going to be pulling in a little baggie of goodies here, and that is what I'm going to be using that I have all prepped for this project. There's a lot of little pieces, but not a lot of stamping. It's more assembly and scoring and cutting and stuff like that. So let's see what we have. As you can see by your sheet, you're going to have some ribbon on there, and that I'm using the Flirty Flamingo Gold ribbon again. I love it. It just goes so good with this project and with so many projects. I really like that. And I have approximately, what do I have here? I have about 7 inches or so. Just depends on how big of a handle you want on your project. Then we have some DSP that we have cut. We have 2 different patterns we're using. I'm using the blue one, and I'm using the this pattern with the lighter yellow bumblebee type of a background on it. We have 2 of each item. So 2 larger rectangles in blue and 2 smaller in blue. And then 2 larger in the lighter color, and then 2 smaller in the same pattern, okay? And those are cut, as you can see, pardon me, oh goodness, 1 3/4 by 2 7/8, and that's the small. Actually, no, sorry about that. I just need a quick drink. I'm gonna cough. Pardon me. Okay, so with our 2 patterns, we have 1 3/4 by 2 7/8. 1 3/4. There's 2 7/8, almost 3. That's what all 4 of these are. 1 and, yep. Is it 1 7/8? 1 3/4 by 2 7/8. Okay, then the smaller pieces are 1 or 7/8 of an inch by that same 1 3/4 wide. So sorry. Okay, we have a punch that we have used, and the way I made this was use Flirty Flamingo. It is it's a little less than 1, right around 1 inch by, it's finished, it's 2 5/8, and to make this I used our lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch, and that is how you get the bottom or the edges of this one punch. So you can make it whatever length you want depending on your sentiment you're using, and then you just go ahead and punch the ends, and I kind of have it sideways on there on the actual project. And then we have some gems, whatever you would like on yours. I have 3 of the rhinestone basic jewels, and I did punch out some of those sprigs from the punch that comes along with that set as well. And so I have 4 of the blue and 4 of the bumblebee. And the main event, the main star of the show is our cardstock here that we have lots of scoring, cutting, and all kinds of stuff to do. So I'm going to set aside these other supplies here. Hopefully somewhere where I'm not going to like lose anything, because I have been known to do that. Okay, put that aside. So we have our base piece of cardstock, and as your instructions say, it is 8.5 by 8. Okay, so with your 8.5 side up on your scoring board or whatever, you are going to be scoring this at 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, 2, 4, 6, and 8. And then that just leaves you this little 1/2 inch edge on one side. And then if you rotate it, then you're going to be scoring with the 8-inch side up is the, let's see, 2. This is the 8-inch side up. You score it at 2, 5, 6, and 7. Okay? So those are your scored lines on your project. I don't know if you can see it. There's a lot. Refer to the instruction sheet if you need to look at that again. But that's where we're going to begin. And first thing we're going to do is go ahead and score on all those lines and kind of get familiar with this. This is our edge that has the that little 1/2 inch edge on one side, and then I'm just going to go ahead and crease all of these score lines so that we can kind of get this figured out here. It's kind of one of those projects that's a little putsy, but it is really fun to make. I think they call it the impossible gift box because when you first look at it, it almost looks like it's impossible to open. And you just don't really, it's hard to understand how to do it. And so it's just kind of different that way, which is kind of fun. All right, so what we're going to start with then is we are going to fold it so that if you have this smaller section on the right, okay, what we're going to do to start with is this is going to get folded back, and we're going to be putting some DSP on this part. But before we do that, we're going to fold it back to the second line. And so that's going to give us these 2 sections with, if you flip it over, there's only one narrow, one large, and one medium size, I guess. But you're just going to be using this to make some tick marks and some cuts. So what you're going to do is you can take your scoring board, you can take whatever you prefer, and we are going to make a little bit of a tick mark in the center of each of these panels. These panels are each 2 inches, so we can mark it at 1 inch in the center there. Just kind of make a little tick. You can use you can go ahead and use a pencil if you'd rather do that. You can use your scoring board. I'm just trying to make a little mark that I can see. You're not going to be able to see that probably. So maybe to make it more obvious, I'll use a pencil and make a little bit bigger mark than I normally would, just so that you kind of have an idea what I'm talking about here. So we are marking the center of each of these 4 panels. So there's the center. I could practically do it on my grid paper here. All right, should we try it? Okay, there we go. Yay, grid paper. And one more. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we are going to leave it folded like this, and we are going to make a line to this point that I'm kind of trying to show you here. We we are going to draw some lines that go diagonally, okay? So hopefully you'll be able to kind of see what I'm doing. I'm connecting this point and this point. Yeah, it just goes through the one layer, and you just make a diagonal line, and you repeat that on all of these. So it's just one though, you don't have to go the other direction, just one direction. Okay. All right, so then we'll just kind of mark like this and like this. So I hope you can see that. We have a mark here. Just want to, oh, there it kind of shows. Center point of this panel, and then the lower left, kind of think of this as a panel, like a rectangle. The lower left corner of each of these rectangles, we're connecting those lines to the center point, okay? And that's diagonally, and those are going to be areas where we're going to cut with our snips. So let's go ahead, and we are going to start by cutting off this first little panel, and we're cutting through both layers. So you can see that I cut through both of these layers down here. And so we're going to be doing the same thing. First of all, go ahead and cut on the actual score line down to the point that we had drawn on there. You can do that all at once if you want. We are just on the score line. Of course, that one doesn't have it. And then we're going to cut, and again, through both layers, we're going to cut right on that line that we drew on there. And we're going to take those notches out. Okay. You could do this with your trimmer if you'd rather, but it's pretty, you can do a pretty good job, you know, and keep it, it looks just as good, I think, just doing it on your own with your snips. And just kind of cut that line there. Okay. All right. So when you open it up, this is what you got. It's kind of a good start here. Boy, is that hard to see, you guys? See if that's better. Hopefully that is. So that's how this looks so far. Let's go ahead and cut up on these score lines. This is the bottom. These are the bottom flaps that get folded in and glued. I'm just cutting right on that score line. And I think I can just cut this one off. We don't need it. And I'm going to miter this area, this little tab. So we're kind of making just a tab to glue it together with. And I'm not going to miter this little one, but it's a pretty important tab that it'll help really hold things together. So now one thing you're going to keep in mind is we are going to, we're going to kind of want to decorate and that kind of thing. Oh, I hope I did it right. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's better. So this is actually the outside of the box, okay? And so you can see these are going to be your panels that are going to show on the outside. And the only thing to keep in mind that's kind of different is this is the top portion. So we don't want to keep this up. We're just, as we decorate, we're going to put that down. So I'm going to show you how and where to put some of that DSP that we have already cut, okay? All right, so gather those pieces up and your adhesive. And decide, I just kind of stagger so it's every other. You can do it however you want. You could have 4 different, all 4 the same, whichever you like. And then we have coordinated panels to go with it. And we're going to have those just go along the top, okay? So we're going to have here and here. Make sure it's going the right direction. Oops, whoa, there's my sloppy old pattern. Blue goes here. All right, so we can go ahead and put those pieces down and glue them on. I don't think the blue really has a direction, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's actually like a misty moonlight with Night of Navy, I think. This base is Night of Navy. Either one would work well. The blue, the misty moonlight would work well too, although that isn't in this piece. So that's where the navy, the Night of Navy, is in both of the DSPs that we've chosen here. So that kind of unites that together, I guess. Just try to have a nice even border all the way around. Doesn't have to be perfect. And there again, you just saw that scoot a little bit, which is what I kind of like about the glue, this liquid, multi-purpose liquid glue, because you put it down and then you kind of scoot it around until you get it into the place where you want it. You don't want to scoot too much and leave a big trail of glue, but you can just kind of wiggle that a little bit. Okay. And one more. Okay, we're getting there. Now we're going to adhere these top four. Again, make sure it's not up, that you're folding that back, because that's how it's going to go onto your box. That's the orientation you need. Okay, real quick here. All right, just a kind of a, not as much of a bigger area there showing, but that's okay. That's kind of how we want that. If you ever use too much of this and you're afraid it's going to ooze all over, you can set it aside for a little bit to let it kind of set up, and then it doesn't ooze out as much. So that's kind of a little trick. I'm usually not patient enough, and if it oozes out, I just kind of wipe it off, and then I clean it up with my gum eraser. Okay, we're getting there. Woohoo! And there is our DSP for the outside of the box. And we'll kind of start getting some of this into place. You can kind of see. And then it sort of kind of comes together magically. What I like to do is, you've seen in my other projects, this outside flap should be last. And then, so the front is going to be, actually I want the front center, one of these front center pieces to go last, because I want that to be kind of my front. So we'll have it be kind of whichever one you want. You could do whichever panel. And so we're going to go ahead and start kind of gluing this together. So for your first glued portion, you can see, hopefully you can see this tab. What we're going to do is fold this in half, actually less than that. I'm going to fold it over once, and I'm going to put this in here so you can maybe see better. I can't, it'll be in the way. I'm going to be folding it over onto this, okay, and I'm not going to glue this yet, so don't do anything with this little one. We'll just put some glue on this tab. And then we're going to glue, just fold it right over, and it'll go right into place. And so it's just going right down onto that tab, and which will hold it together. enough to make it into this shape here. And then, let's see, there's the back. So you can determine which way you want to do your flaps, you know, which one's in first and last. I'm gotta make sure I'm letting this set up enough so it doesn't fall apart, of course, where I just glued it. A really good press. Okay. And so we will go, let's say the here's where this back piece is. I'm going to consider these the sides. So I'm going to go one side in and the other side in. So let's put one side in, put some glue on there. Okay, and then I'm going to have this other side go in. And to make it work properly, hopefully you can kind of see what's going on in there. I'm going to kind of press that down so that the two flaps are kind of glued together. All right, and then we'll have this one go in next. The order really doesn't matter that much, so don't sweat it if you're not really sure which order of flaps to glue down. Just so that your one that's kind of in the front is the last one glued, okay? The other three don't really matter that much. Just try to keep it as square as possible. And having all those flaps in there keeps it nice and sturdy. Just kind of pressing that down. All right. Ooh, it's getting there. This is what's fun is, I love this box. That tab is going to go right behind this panel here. And then what you're going to be doing is just pressing it down. I'm not going to be gluing it into place yet. But it can even go, it just kind of makes that closure on its own. You can even go further down to this point. And you can see that it kind of isn't wanting to stay in place that well. It's because there is a lot of layers in there, so it does bubble a little bit, which is why we didn't put the adhesive on yet. Because if you did, you maybe wouldn't be able to get it all the way closed down this far. But you can even just kind of glue it together and leave it at this height if you prefer. But I do like to go all the way down with it. It almost even just stays closed on its own. And since it's in place right now, I am going to go ahead and glue it right there and let it kind of, ooh, I had way too much. It's going to come out. But I do want to try to get this pretty snug in there. And wipe that off. So this is a what not to do with your glue. Don't use that much. Okay. So I'm going to kind of press that in. Try to get it to go where it wants, or where we want it to go. And then you can kind of just hold it a little bit here without moving it too much, but getting it kind of nice and in place. Another problem of too much glue is that it wiggles around longer. Okay, let's make sure this will close on us. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We do need to add some of our stamped images and decorate it, add the handle and bling and all that good stuff. But isn't this cool? So most people don't know how to open it, and you just pull it up and it just opens like that. Isn't that fun? I love this. Oh, now I'm getting glue everywhere. I should buy stock in this rubber eraser companies, because boy do I use it. It's too sloppy. Alright, so now we need to determine where we want our handle to go. And the handle is, I'm just going to use this. Now you can't really, punch a hole very easily. You got to be really careful with where you go if you do choose to do that. I want to make sure this is all like in place. This tab. Okay. So, you know I did put down an 1/8 inch hole punch on there. You may want to forego the punch and maybe just go ahead and tape it or glue it or use glue dots or Seal Plus or whatever for your handle, because there's so much that is kind of a moving part on here. I know I have, you can also just try to find a part that is not moving, and you can put your little hole punch there if you'd like. But I'm just showing you how to clean up all the glue. Okay, good enough. Okay, so once again, it's up and open, and if the front is, where's my tab? Here's the tab. So the front is over here. So I'm going to want to have it go this way. Okay, so I think I'm going to use glue dots. Let me grab mine here. Maybe use a couple. If you're concerned they won't stay on good enough, you could always use Seal Plus like I was saying before. That's very strong and pretty reliable. So I just put some glue dots on, 2 glue dots on my ribbon piece here, and I am going to tuck it just underneath this little flap on the blue. I'm just going to be putting it on the blue, and I am adhering it down by pressing it down really well so it won't go anywhere. And then we repeat the same thing on the other side over here, of course. And a couple more glue dots. 1 and a 2. Alright, so we have glue dots on that end of it now. And so keep it smooth so it doesn't get twisted again. And we're going to just tuck it underneath this side, under that panel here, the blue panel, top one. Just press that down really well. We don't want it coming undone when they're trying to pull as hard as they can to get the thing open because they don't know how to do it. Okay, nice press, and that'll stay then. Okay, so see how that goes? Like that, and then when they open it, they just lift up. Woohoo! And you can put your goodies in there, close it. I usually have like little candies or whatever, and you know, they're not really going to be sure what's what, but if they just lift up on the handle, they can see right in there and get their goodies out. Okay? Oh, isn't that fun? I love this box. Okay, now to decorate it, let's go ahead and stamp and glue and bling and all that good stuff. So, I chose to use Above and Beyond, You Go There a Lot. And that comes from the Shaded Summer. It's one of the sentiments on there. Whatever you want to do, you can make it work. You could do a little smaller tag and use some of these smaller ones. Something from your In Symmetry, if that works. Hey Friend or whatever. So just adjust your tag size accordingly. I try to go smaller. I don't really prefer that it goes sideways like this, but it works. I don't mind it too much. I could go straight like that, I guess. But I think it just barely fits on there. But I just kind of like that saying of Above and Beyond, You Go There a Lot. I'm going to be using the Night of Navy. You could use any of the coordinated inks that go with our paper. And I'm putting this on the, Flirty Flamingo cardstock. So here's my head going to get in the way, I suppose. Nice even pressure. Okay, that's not bad. Decent. And you could mat that on something if you want. I'm just going to adhere it onto my box. Probably like that or straight. And I could have a couple of sprigs showing on the back of it, kind of like this, you know, like kind of decorating like that. I think I'll do that. So I'm going to use glue dots on that. Since I got them out, might as well use them. So let's take, and we can put the glue dot on the front of the sprig, if I can find a glue dot. And these are they're really strong, so you only need one probably. And there's one glue dot for that piece. I'm just going to use the bumblebee on these. You could use whatever you prefer. And I'm going to put it on the front again, on the bottom of that sprig. Hopefully you can see that okay. This time I'm going to have it, I don't know, maybe I'll do a couple of them on this side. I don't know. It's however you like your sprigs, I guess. And I'm going to keep going with the bumblebee on this tag. Alright, and I'll go on the opposite corner for these. There's one and a two. Okay, so easy to get off. I like that, just easy to adhere. And we'll kind of do a similar thing on the other side, opposite side, I mean. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to put dimensionals on the back and adhere it onto the box. You could put a little gold shimmer thread or little ribbon doing some more on there if you'd like. Anything to kind of just dress it up. Above and beyond, you go there a lot. Okay. Just I'm making sure I know where my back is, so this is the front. Let's do it like this. Oops, that's crooked. Okay, give that a little press, and I can open it up and press it harder if I'd like. And then you can feel free to add more of these little sprigs on there if you want, like on a different side. Maybe I will do that on this opposite side. It's not going to show too much if I do it on the blue, of course, even though it'd be fine. You just, whatever you choose to do for decorating that. I think I might just do it on this back side on the lighter color. Alright, we're getting there. Just try not to have the glue dot stick out of the sprig. If it does, just kind of fold it back a little bit so that it doesn't show. You can kind of roll them up or cut them in half or whatever. Ooh. Okay, good enough. And as usual, a little glimmer. Oops, this is not the right one. Give it a little shake here. And then I'll just decide where I want to have some of the glimmer show up. I'm going to put it a little bit here and there. At first it kind of darkens the paper a little bit, but then it usually dries so that just the shimmer is there. Kind of do whatever. And as dark as those lines kind of seem to be, that's really going to kind of fade. That won't really be much there. But I like to have a little shimmer, as you know. All right, so let's put a little bit of these, a few of the little rhinestones on there, and we will be able to be done with this guy. Now let's see. I don't know, just wherever you want a little shimmer. I could do one on the back here too, I suppose. Add as many as you like. Just going to put it kind of smack dab in the middle of this one on the back. All right, woohoo. So here is our finished project. Hope you like it, and I hope it made sense. If not, let me know. I'd be happy to kind of go over that with you. So hopefully you can kind of see it. And here are the sides, back, other side, and voila. Okay, all right, now we're going to be going on to our note card set.